everybody, my name's Katie and today I'm going to be guiding you through a roughly 20 minutes flow for releasing your back. So as we all know, we don't often move as much as we should have, whether that's working and hunching over a desk all day, or perhaps taking a really long drive. Hopefully this quick multi-level flow will help you to get your back on track. So as always, grab everything that you need. That might be yoga bricks, that might be stacks of books, that might be bolsters if you know that you have kind of lower back things going on, so you might want to have a bolster, and any padding for the knees. So I've got my trusty blue foam padding, but you might want to use a cushion or a blanket. So grab all that gear and let's get ready to flow. Just a reminder before we start practice that of course you know your body better than I do, so this is a multi-level flow, so I'm going to be giving lots of options, but it doesn't make you a better person if you take the stronger options. It's up to you, your body, and how you want to nourish yourself in your yoga practice today. So take what you want, leave behind what you don't need, and let's do some yoga. Getting started, finding a comfortable seated position. That might be with the legs crossed, that might be with the legs outstretched, so whatever is good for you today. I am going to cross my legs because that feels good for me, and I'm also sat on a little block, so that might be a cushion or a rolled up blanket for you, and that just helps encourage that tilt in the pelvis and helps us keep that long spine. So let's make that transition into our yoga practice. So closing the eyes, dropping the gaze. Taking a deep breath in and letting go. Lovely deep exhale. Let's take that again. Lovely deep breath in. Letting go. Lovely exhale. Just a few more rounds of that breath. Inhaling. Exhaling. And as you start to breathe consciously, just tune into the body on the mat, in the room, perhaps noticing the state of mind that you're bringing to practice. Perhaps it's quite busy, there might be lots of thoughts, to-do lists, things floating around in there. Just see if we can always guide the mind back to the sensations of the breath in the body, if the mind does wander. Few more breaths here, just letting go of everything else. There's nowhere else you need to be, there's nothing else you need to do. Just rooting and grounding here in this moment. Beautiful. And if the mind does wander, we're not going to be angry, we're not going to be mad, we're not going to judge, we're just observing. We're just going to gently bring it back to the breath. That anchor of our yoga practice. Beautiful, just a few more rounds of breath there. Maybe start to deepen that breath once again. And then fluttering the eyes open, lifting the gaze, blinking back into the room. So rooting those sit bones down in whatever seated position you're taking, really consciously, lightly activate those abs and lift up out of the spine, really find that lovely long spine. We're going to tuck the chin into the chest, so keeping that spine long so we don't lose the stretch. We're going to start to gaze down, tucking that chin into the chest. Now hopefully feeling a lovely little stretch across the upper back as we roll the head over to the left shoulder, over to the right shoulder. There's nothing really right or wrong here, we're just loosening up the neck and the upper back. So if something else feels right to you, you can adjust this movement. Keeping that chin nicely tucked into the chest. So keeping that spine long, if you want a bit more here, you can clasp the hands and place them behind the head. And we're not pulling the head down, we're not kind of yanking anything, it's just the gentle weight of the hands. Keep those sit bones rooted, keep lifting up and out of the spine. Allowing the breath, every exhale, to just allow you to let go a bit more. Finding a deeper stretch across the neck, across the upper back. And then lovely deep breath in to release the hands if you had them raised, bringing the chin back away from the chest, back into that 12 o'clock position. Wiggling in the shoulders now, so bring the shoulders up to the ears, deep breath in, and as you exhale, let it go. Shoulders up to the ears, deep breath in. As you exhale, let it go. One more time, shoulders to the ears. Exhaling, let it go. Beautiful. So working into our all fours position now, so moving any padding that you had underneath the sit bones, we're going to head over into our all fours and do our beautiful thread the needle. So before going anywhere, let's just warm up the wrists, warm up the body here in our all fours position. This can feel really nice and releasing in the back, so just swaying, there goes my hip clicking, just swaying left and right. Bringing the weight forwards into the wrist, get that lovely stretch, swing it back. So again, no right or wrong here, just see what the body wants, see what feels right. Sometimes it's nice to do a kind of angry cat spine and just kind of roll left to right here, just feeling that stretch in the upper back, swinging left to right, forwards and backwards. And then giving the wrists a little bit of love. So if you need to come off them, give them a little wiggle. Often we can find the all fours position quite jarring when we just jump into it straight away. So look after those wrists, turning the hands over one way, then the other maybe. And then when you're ready, settling back into our all fours position. So wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders, taking that a bit further forwards if you have any sensitivities in the wrists. Knees are underneath the hips. From here, we're going to thread our needle. So left fingertips are going to lift up towards the ceiling. Chest is going to open out towards the left side of your mat. Gaze can follow those fingers. Deep breath in. As we exhale, let's thread that left hand behind the right wrist, coming down towards that left shoulder. It may not get there. That's where the books, the blankets, the blocks can come in handy to pad underneath that shoulder if you need it. Breathing here. Get the sensation that we're drawing this bottom arm forwards and the top shoulder back. It's all about the twist, finding this twist in the upper back. A really nice release for the upper back, this one. A few more breaths here, just seeing if each exhale can send us a bit deeper. Keep those sit bones high for me. So it's not like child's pose where we're sitting back, we're keeping the sit bones high and stacked roughly above those knees. Beautiful. As you next breathe in, let's unthread. Breathing in, opening out those fingertips, that left arm towards the ceiling once more, and then bringing it back down to the mat. Nice little reset in our tabletop pose, wiggling around as you need. And then let's take that on the other side. Deep breath in, let's stretch those right fingertips up towards the ceiling, opening the chest towards the right side of the mat. Gaze looks to those fingers. As you exhale, let's thread that behind the left wrist, right shoulder coming towards the earth. Again, it might not quite get there, so just bringing that shoulder towards the earth as much as is comfortable, maybe resting the right ear on the ground. Maybe resting the right ear on the ground. Again, just allowing that opening to happen in the upper back, drawing that underneath shoulder, that shoulder that's closest to the earth, drawing that forwards and that top shoulder back. Again, keep those sit bones high for me. A few more breaths here. As you next inhale, so please don't rush, let's unthread. Bringing that arm all the way back through, fingertips rising towards the sky, and then coming back down to our tabletop position. Beautiful. Little wiggle, little release, and then moving into our cat-cows here. So cat-cow, so really waking up that spine, feeling that lovely ripple through the spine. So as you inhale, tip the pelvis back and up. Belly will start to drop towards the mat. Chest broadens, gaze lifts. As you exhale, take it the other way. So suck the belly button towards the spine. Tuck the pelvis as if you want to kiss the nose with that pelvis. Spreading those shoulder blades apart. Pushing the palms into the mat. Really getting that sense of openness through the upper back. And then inhaling, taking it the other way. So keep moving with that motion. I want you to imagine that the motion is always coming from the base of the spine. we have the temptation here to move the head first. So see if we can move that last. So close the eyes, drop the gaze. This is your cat-cow. You don't need to watch me. Beautiful. Moving with the breath. Feeling that ripple through the spine. Gorgeous. Now if it's part of your practice to take the tiger option, you can also take that, so lifting one leg and then the other as you do the cat-cow. So as you round the back, bringing one knee towards the nose, and as you come back into your cow, extending those toes towards the ceiling. Making sure if you're taking that option, that you remember to swap sides. So either keep going with your cat-cow, or taking the tiger option, which sounds very glamorous and exciting. And if you don't normally take it, try it on for size, see what you think. Might feel nice, might feel awful. So just have a play. And then everyone returning back to our tabletop position, releasing in those wrists if you need. And then when you're ready, waking up those hips a bit, so just giving a little wiggle, raising the right knee out to the side. This is the very professionally called dog legs, as I like to call it. So just wiggling in those legs, opening out those hips, big circles, small circles, whatever you need, whatever the body wants. Taking that on the left side, so keep the bend in the left leg, extend it out to the side, like a dog wing on a lamppost. Lovely visual. And then small circles, big circles, whatever the body needs. Beautiful. Then take a sink on back down to child's pose for me. So lovely deep breath in. As we exhale, let's relax those sit bones back towards the heels. Extend those arms forwards. Relax the head towards the earth, and if it doesn't quite get there, use the blocks, the books, the blankets, whatever you've got, releasing down. Settling into the breath here. Just finding comfort in your child's pose. And this is your child's pose, so if you don't want to sit still, you can wiggle left to right, you can move as you need. You may wish to take the hands towards the feet, that can feel really nice and releasing. You might want to lean on one ear rather than have the forehead to the earth. So lots of options, this is yours. Take what feels right. And then on your next inhale, use that breath to guide you all the way back up, moving the blocks, the bricks, the blankets out of the way, back into our tabletop position. From here, we're going to come up into a high kneel position. So heading on up into our high kneel, adjusting t-shirts, making sure that you're comfy here. So if you want to take extra padding under the knees, please do so. We're going to place the hands on the hips, so root those knees down into the ground, lift up and out of the back. Take a lovely deep breath in for me. And as you exhale, tip the hips forward, so keep the length in the spine, but tip the hips slightly forward. Now you don't need to go far. This is a little baby camel pose. If you're used to doing camel, you can take it into full camel if you wish. Otherwise, we're just doing a little baby camel here, so just tipping those hips slightly forward, shining that heart, shining that chest out towards the ceiling. Breathing here, beautiful. 2 more breaths. Focusing on length, focus on those hips going forward rather than the head and the neck coming back. Nice. And then sinking down all the way back to our child's pose, releasing the hands towards the feet. As you next inhale, let's come up again. This time drawing the arms out to the side and up and overhead if that feels good. As we push those hips gently forward once again. If this feels too strong in the back, bring the arms down. They can come to hips, they can relax down the side of the body. Deep breath in. As we exhale, let's come down to child's pose. We're going to do that once more. Inhaling, drawing the chest up, drawing the arms out to the side and up and overhead, or maybe resting them on the hips, whatever feels good. Bringing those hips forward, lengthening that spine, shining that chest towards the ceiling. Hello. Breathing in, opening. And releasing, exhaling, coming down. Resting here in child's pose, just releasing in the spine. And then as onto your next inhale, let's slowly draw the body back up into our tabletop position. We're going to make our way down to the earth, so wiggle those knees back a little bit and do a little half press up coming down to the earth. Now if you want to chaturanga, if you want to come down a different way, whatever works, but we're bringing our chest to the earth and we're extending our legs long behind us, so really focusing on that length in the spine. Fingertips are roughly in line with the tops of the shoulders. Relax your forehead to the ground. Take a lovely deep breath in. And as you exhale, just come up a little way, bringing the head, maybe the very top of the chest, off the mat. And coming down, releasing that forehead. Take another breath or two here, just relaxing, letting go of any tension in the glutes. Often when we come into these little baby back bends, we can hold a lot of tension in the glutes, so just let those relax. We don't need them at the moment. And then take a lovely deep breath in once again. And as you exhale, lightly press into the fingertips, lifting the chest, the head off the mat, maybe going a bit higher this time into a little baby cobra. Keep drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Keep kissing them together at the back of the body. Elbows tucking in, so we're not sticking our elbows out. Everything's tucking in. Very little pressure through the hands, so we could take them off if we needed to. Coming back down, nice. Tuck the toes underneath and push the earth away as we press all the way back up, coming through our angry cat spine and sinking on down into child's pose. 1 or 2 breaths here just to help open, release the spine. And then drawing back up to tabletop. We're going to head on up to downward facing dog now. So find your alignment in tabletop. Tucking those back toes underneath, so sending the weight towards the balls of the feet. It won't quite get there yet, but we're going to send it in that direction in a second. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, lift those knees, send the chest back to meet the thighs. Keep a lovely deep bend in those knees and shine those sit bones towards the sky. Now if you know that you take your downward dog a bit wider, or if you start to press the heels away to the earth, you've got that option. Otherwise, keep bending those knees. We really want to focus on a long spine here, rather than rushing to put the heels down. Nothing's going to happen when you get your heels onto the ground in downward facing dog. So we're just pedaling here now, pressing one heel away and then the other, really focusing on lengthening the spine, sit bones shining up towards the ceiling. Beautiful. Now at any point, if you want to drop the knees, you absolutely can do. This is your practice, do it your way, so there's no pressure. Otherwise, we're going to hold in downward facing dog. Keep sending the chest back towards the thighs. We've got the option to come into three-legged dog, raising the right foot off the mat and sending it up towards the sky. Make sure you keep those hips equally squared off towards the mat. Taking a few breaths here in our three-legged dog, if you're taking that option. And then everybody together, rocking forwards on the balls of the feet, bringing the weight into the hands at the front of the mat, scooping and rounding the spine, bringing the knee towards the nose, stepping it through. Giving yourself all the help that you need to get there. So our right foot is in front of our left foot, and we are in a low lunge position. So that back left knee is still raised away from the earth at the moment. Our hands are framing that front foot. Now we're going to work into a twist here. So really pressing that left palm into the earth. If you can't comfortably get there, put a block underneath it, put a cushion underneath it, put some books underneath it. And when you're ready, we're going to peel back our right fingertips, taking them towards the earth, bringing our left shoulder towards our right knee. If this feels too strong, bring the arm down. If you want a bit more, you may wish to take a bind. So you might want to hook that top arm towards the opposite hip, and you may wish to take the other hand around. Now, this is great if you've got long arms like me and you're built like an orangutan. This may be something that you can never do, so please don't worry about it. It doesn't make a difference. But if you want a bit more from your twist, that's how to get there. And then untangling the body, bringing the chest back to center. We're going to go ahead and drop that knee down to the earth, taking all the padding that you need under that left knee. We're going to take a gorgeous deep breath in, and as we do that, we're going to lift the chest away from that thigh. We're going to lift the arms up towards the ceiling, and as we exhale, we're going to sink on down into our crescent lunge. Now, in our crescent lunge, it's really easy just to and just let everything flop out. So what we want to do instead is really imagine that our hip bones want to knit together. So you want to keep imagining that we're drawing everything into the midline of the body. Tummy is strong, hips are kind of knitting inwards, everything is lifting up and out. So we've got this sense that we are sinking down with the legs but lifting up and out with the body. Arms can be wherever they want to be. They may wish to be down. They may wish to be up. Breathing here, shining that heart towards the ceiling. Beautiful. As you next exhale, melt the chest over the thighs, take the arms with you, hands frame that front foot once again. We're going to go ahead and pick up that back knee. So we're back in our low lunge again. And from here, we can either step the right foot back to meet the left and come into a little plank pose, firing up through the shoulders, or you may want to head straight on back into downward facing dog. So pick your option. Hanging around for a few breaths in downward facing dog, or maybe in plank pose. And then everybody meeting in downward facing dog when you are ready. We're going to take that on the other side. So holding in downward facing dog if that's your option. If you took three-legged dog on the other side, and you can do it on the left, take it on the left as well. So shooting those left toes up, hitting the tree. Shoot those up towards the ceiling. Don't lose your form in downward facing dog if you're taking that option. So keep pressing the sit bones back and up. Keep those hips squared off towards the earth. Keep pressing into the palms. And then everybody together, bringing the weight forward into the ball of the feet. If you're in three-legged dog, bring that knee towards the nose. Otherwise, stepping that left foot through. Coming back into our low lunge. Hands are framing that front foot. Again, if you can't quite get them there, take the blocks underneath the hands if you wish. Press that right palm into the earth. We're going to twist towards the left side of the mat now. So allow the left fingertips to come up towards the ceiling. Chest is going to follow, opening out. So again here we're working, it's all about the twist, it's all about releasing in the back. So bring that right shoulder as close to that left knee as is comfortable. Keep that back leg straight, so don't allow that knee to come on that journey. We want that back knee to stay squarely pointing to the earth. So if you feel it start to twist, you may have gone too far. If you want a bit more here again, you can bring that top arm towards opposite hip. You may wish to take the bind on this side, but this is all about the twist. Gazing, if you can, towards that back leg. Ah, beautiful. Feel the opening. Feel the releasing. Gorgeous. And then squaring that chest back off towards the top of the mat. Uncurling those arms round. Dropping that back right knee towards the earth, padding as you need. Hands frame that front foot, and then deep breath in, draw the chest away, draw the arms away, send it towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, let go, coming into our crescent lunge. Again, drawing everything towards the midline. So this is a little baby back bend, but we don't want to flare everything out without control. We want to keep pressing the earth away with our front left foot. We want to imagine that the hips want to knit together, so everything's drawing towards the midline, and then we're lifting up and out of that chest. Beautiful, breathing here. Nice, melt that chest back down as you exhale. Hands frame that foot. Tuck the back toes, pick up the back knee, step the left leg back around to meet the right, either coming into our plank pose, firing up those shoulders, or heading straight on back into downward facing dog. Pedaling those feet. Beautiful, just moving with the breath. If you're holding in plank, keep breathing. If you need to release at any point, you can do. And then everybody meeting in downward facing dog when you're ready. From downward facing dog, we're going to come to standing very, very briefly. So to make your way to standing, take the gaze towards the hands at the top of the mat. Now you can either drop the knees and swing one leg forward and then the other. Or from downward facing dog, you may wish to tiptoe those feet in or jump the feet in towards the hands, and then everybody coming all the way up to standing, uncurling really slowly, taking your time to settle in a standing position. Once we get into standing, we're coming towards the top of our mat. And what I want you to do is come to our Tadasana position, so toes tracking forward, hip width apart, clasping the hands behind the back. Send those clasped hands, or near enough if you can't quite clasp them, down towards the earth, opening those shoulders, opening that chest, that heart towards the ceiling, shining that heart. Beautiful. Breathing here. If you'd like to come into a forward fold, you can do. This can be strong in the shoulders, so just know what's right for your body. Keeping those hands clasped and maybe pedaling through those feet left and right, sending those hands behind the body until that point where gravity kind of takes those hands for you. There's no pressure in the neck. If this is too strong, unclasp the hands. You can still do just the same, but this can be really nice and releasing in the upper back. And then uncurling all the way back to standing, releasing the arms, little shake. Working back down to the earth now. So ground those feet, inhale, float those arms up and overhead. As we exhale, hinge forwards at the hips, melting those chests over the thighs, coming into our forward fold. Hands frame the feet, and then picking up the hands, placing the hands on the thighs or maybe the shins, and extending the crown of the head forwards towards the top of the mat. So we're coming into this halfway flat back. So back is flat as if you're balancing a tray of drinks on the back. Lots of space between the ears and the shoulders. Crown of the head extending forwards. Breathing here. And then as your next exhale arrives, melt everything forwards. Let the hands go, let the head go. Hands frame the feet this time. Lovely deep bend in the knees. Step the left leg back, drop the knee. Step the right leg back, swing it around. Take a little very quick release in child's pose. Wiggling left and right, lovely. And then coming forwards, swinging those sit bones round so you're sat down, legs in front of the body, shimmy those sit bones forwards and relaxing down, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little cuddle, rocking side to side, releasing in the back. Beautiful. Hopefully feeling a bit more free, a bit more released in the back. Rocking side to side, nice. And then keeping the knees bent, plant the soles of the feet into the mat, and we're going to work into a twist here. So you've got lots of options. Option one is to just allow the knees to stack one on top of the other, allowing them to just fall out to the right side of your mat, gazing over opposite shoulder. If that feels good, you can work with that. Otherwise, bringing those knees back up, pointing towards the ceiling, hooking your left leg over the top of the right leg, hooking it around, hooking those left toes around that right ankle if that feels good, and then shimmying those hips over towards the left side of the mat just a bit, and then allowing those knees to come down. So it's exactly the same, just a bit stronger through the back, through the body. So pick the option that's best for you. And then once you've settled into your option, just take a few breaths. So we're starting to work down and close practice now. So really just take the time to breathe, to inhale, to exhale. Each exhale just allowing you to release a bit deeper into that twist. And then as your next inhale arrives, guide those knees back to center. Uncross the legs if you had them crossed. And then whatever you did on the other side, do the same thing coming towards the left side of your mat. So if you crossed the legs last time, right leg is going to go over left this time. Shimmy those hips over towards the right side of the mat and then work into those twists.
Otherwise, we're just letting the knees go towards the left side of the mat, stacking those knees one on top of the other, just releasing. And the knees aren't going to match up if you're taking that first option. They might just be slightly out of step with each other. That's totally fine. It's all about the spine here. It's not about the legs. Gazing over opposite shoulder. Closing the eyes, dropping the gaze and breathing. And then as your next inhale arrives, bringing those knees back to centre and crossing those legs. Give yourself a little squeeze once again. And then allow the body to come all the way back up to a seated position. So you might want to lie on the side and then come up slowly. You might want to hug the knees into the chest and get a bit of momentum, swinging all the way back up to a seated position. Finding comfort in our seated positions. That might be legs outstretched, that might be knees crossed. And then when you've landed wherever feels most comfortable, closing the eyes, dropping the gaze, and just allowing everything to melt back down. Breathing into the body. That sense of space in the body and the mind that we have cultivated with our little short practice today. Seeing if we can take that little piece of that stillness and beautiful happiness into the rest of our day, into the rest of our evenings, into the rest of our weeks. Following the journey of the breath, letting go of any tension in the body. So if you're gripping hold of the legs, just allow the hands to soften, letting everything go. And then as your next inhale arrives, float the arms out to the side and up and overhead. Hands meet in prayer. Lightly press those palms together as we slowly draw them down towards the heart. Allow the thumbs to brush the forehead and the nose on the mouth on the way down to the heart. As we say, let there be space in the mind. May you speak kind words. May you find love in each moment. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I will see you very soon.